Cancel.
Schweezy.
Okay, everyone. I have finished my 3-month trial of Apple Music, which means I am better than all of you. No, does not mean I'm better than all of you. What it means is, as someone who has been using Spotify since 2013, and in January started the 3-month trial of Apple Music, I have a lot of things to say on the matter of fact. Now, the trial did end in April. However, my dad died in April, and so I didn't get to talk about it. There was a pretty busy month, and then with computer problems the last 2 weeks, we had even more problems. So I'm sorry that this sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. Anyways, though, but yeah, like I said, I did, okay, technically, I started using Spotify in 2011, I want to say, like I first discovered what Spotify was, and it was great, but I used it with ads. I didn't use Spotify Premium. I guess you could still use it free right now, but I can't stand ads in music. You know, I don't even like it that much in movies wise. I know Peacock does it right, where I still have the ads on Peacock because I get it through like my phone, but Peacock, they'll show you like 3 minutes of ads at the beginning of a movie, and then there's no ads the rest of the movie, which is great. Some other services do that. You know, TV shows I can get because a lot of times TV shows are made in a 3-act structure. So, I mean, and they were made for commercials. So I can get that behind that. But, you know, in movies, especially during albums, because I don't think an artist ever wants you to listen to their album with ads in between songs. I don't think that's ever... So yeah, I started Spotify Premium 2013. I think that's when my original iPod, my 80 gig iPod Classic, the 6th gen. Yeah, it was 6th gen, not the 7th gen. Died, and so that's when I just decided to use that and started. You know, that's when I got an iPhone eventually. Started using that. So anything though, yeah. So yeah, I've been trying out Apple Music for 4 months at this point, and so. As someone who has a degree in audio music production and music writing and music in general, I think I have a good opinion on what to say in this situation. So here's some things here I wrote down. So first, before I go into anything, things I don't like about Apple Music. So here's the things I don't like about Apple Music, and so here are the things you need to listen to. Playlist and discovery and finding and discovering music, I think Spotify is way better, 100% in everything in regards to that. So one of my favorite artists, Kevin Garrett, I saw him live back in 2019 before the world ended, and it was a very weird spot in my life too, and it's just an artist I've really liked, and I discovered him through Spotify's alternative R&B playlist. His song, A Little Bit of You, I listened to that, I'm like, I love this song, and so I listened to that, went to the artist page, went to that, listened to all his stuff he had, and he's been releasing music since then. That was 2017, and I've been listening to his stuff ever since. Some in 2019. His opener, Mink, he had on that show, was phenomenal as well. Also, now one of my favorite artists I've ever listened to. She's not even like a huge artist, but I still absolutely love all the shit she does as well, and stuff like that. And I would never have discovered any of those without Spotify. Apple Music, however, does not have that like discovery feature. Apple Music is good. You know, Apple was the ones who created iTunes, and iTunes was the thing you used for music because everyone had an iPod, and if you had a shitty MP3 player, eventually you tried to and if you really didn't like that MP3 player, you upgraded to iPod. I remember I had a 2 gigabyte SanDisk MP3 player, and I thought 2 gigabytes was huge at the time. It was probably over $100 for that 2 gigabyte MP3 player. My brother only had a 1 gigabyte MP3 player, and he was jealous of me. But I'm like, I listen to more music than you. Shut up, bitch. And eventually the screen broke, and I had to like hold the headphone input or whatever. And then I got like a real iPod, and I actually have my iPod. This is the one I found. My dad had long story short, my dad, he was a coach at a school, and there was a weight room and everything. And so in this weight room, they had a lost and found, because sometimes, people leave their shit, and then, I'm like, oh, I think I forgot this. Is it in there somewhere? Like, yeah, check this box. It might be in there. And this iPod was in there for over a year. And then my dad was like, it's been in there for a year. Whoever it belongs to clearly doesn't want it anymore, or has just moved on at this point. So I'm going to keep it. So I kept it. I put some songs on it for him. He had some of his own songs he wanted. I think the battery died, and he's like, I don't think it works anymore. And so now I found it in his stuff and I have it. And so I put a 128 gigabyte SD card into it, a new battery. I want to get a new case, but it's called the Dad Pod. We're going to call this the Dad Pod. My actual Schweg Pod Pro, I lost. I don't know where that is. Anyways, though, back to discovering music. Spotify, 100% better in discovering music. So if you're a person who needs to discover music and is always interested in discovering new music and aren't really good on your own about doing that, like I'm good on my own about doing that, but like a lot of people aren't. And there's a lot of artists I really love and I really do have to thank Spotify for. So if that's the case, stay with Spotify. If you have a hard time finding new music all the time, Spotify is your best bet. But also Apple Music, I think, that's just where Apple Music does bad. Here's another problem, and this is specifically for me and literally no one else, specifically for me only. So basically, like I think I mentioned earlier in this episode, but for those of you watching highlights, I have a pretty old MacBook. It's a 2012 13-inch MacBook Pro. I have 16 gigs RAM in it, an i7 and stuff like that. So I mean, like, it's good for what it was at the time. It was like the top-notch SSD inside. It's like perfect for what the time is. But however, though, with whatever version of Photoshop is, and I will be honest, I'm never going to pay for Adobe Photoshop, even though I love it and I use it. I think the idea that their cloud system is just a ripoff, and it's just their way of ripping people off. Anyways, though, it's a good program, but it's ripping people off. Anyways, though, basically with the version I have, I'm having to stick with macOS Mojave. I don't even think my computer can update it to the current OS because it's close to a decade old. And so I'm stuck on macOS Mojave, which isn't bad, but the Apple Music is through the iTunes app. Now, I still have iTunes. I know the newer computers, iTunes is through like the Mac Finder, but I have iTunes, the app. And like, even when I upgrade this new Mac, upgrade to a new computer, I'm still going to keep this Mac mainly just as like a jukebox and maybe like a time machine type of thing. But Apple Music is through the iTunes app, and it's just not that good, like through the iTunes app. iTunes is great for what it does, but I need the Apple Music app for Apple Music, and it's just not as good. That's just how it is. That's like a specific problem just for me that none of you will have to deal with. The third problem I have with it, podcast. The thing I love about Spotify is they really wanted to put their foot down and get into podcasting. And they did a great job because basically with the Spotify app, you can listen to any podcast you want to and listen to all the music you want to listen to all in one. And Spotify has so many exclusives that they got. They got Joe Rogan. What was the one I like? All these like weird conspiracy ones I like that are through Spotify. I think they're really great. My podcast is on all programs because I don't listen to anyone because neither of them will offer me a cash deal, and that's the problem. So I think, Apple was the leader in podcasting. When podcasting first came out, like, what happened to do when you had iPods like the iPod 5th gen, like I'm holding up right now, for the audio listeners who don't get to see it. Basically what would have to happen is you'd have to download the podcast and then like drag and drop into your iPod, unless you had like when you plug in your iPod, it just syncs your whole library, which I don't like doing because what I used to do was like I go to my friends' places and then like plug my iPod in and drag and drop things to my iPod. I wasn't the most ethical person, but now I don't do that anymore. But anyways, though, I used to do that, and you have to do the podcast. Now podcasting has become so weird because people have started uploading like a video feed version like this show, if you're an audio listener, to their YouTube and stuff like that. So you have the visual of that as well. They used to have video podcasts back then. It was a little different. Podcasting used to be so different. I don't have time right now to teach you the history of podcasts. But now, like for audio only podcasts though, like Spotify is nailing the jobs. Apple was just like left everything as it has been for the last 10 plus years. But now let me go into the positives of Apple Music. The things I absolutely love about Apple Music. The ease of using it with my Apple products. Like it's easy to use with my Apple Watch. Not my iPod. That's outdated. I just like that because I'm old. It works with my iPhone. It works with my iPad. It works with my Mac. Everything just works so seamlessly, so smooth, and it's just great. That's the reason why I think AirPods are so great. Like they're great sounding headphones. And I obviously think, if you're not like an audiophile and you want just a good sounding pair of headphones, AirPods, 100%. Even the first gen ones that I used to have that have died and are clogged with earwax, I'll tell you, those are good headphones because what I'll tell you, when people mix music nowadays, they mix it to make sure that they do sound good on those headphones. 100% what I think, though, and I think Apple products are great, and Apple has created their ecosystem, which just makes stuff work so great with that. And Apple Music is just another thing that's great. If Apple TV had good programming, minus like Ted Lasso, which I haven't watched, but I want to. Now I think about it, though, now that kind of bummed me out because my dad wanted to watch Ted Lasso. I was like, okay, at some point we'll figure it out. We can watch Ted Lasso together. And I don't think he's going to watch Ted Lasso anymore. Anyways, moving on from the bummer, that it was great to work with all my Apple products. Apple Music pays artists better than Spotify. Like I said, I've been using Spotify Premium since 2013. Apple Music does pay, though it is not the best service if you want to use a streaming service that does pay artists better. Tidal, I think, is the winner right now. They pay 12 cents a stream, which is insane, to me. Apple Music pays 1 cent a stream, which, in my mind, I actually thinking about the business side and the streaming side, what a song is worth to listen to. I do think Apple Music is good with 1 cent. I think 1 cent is fine for a stream. That is a whole debate that could be thrown into the air. However, Spotify, this is what Spotify pays a stream. $0 and 0.0033 a stream, which is we can argue all day. What is the amount an artist should get? What is the dollar amount an artist should get per stream? Many will agree with me, and I think Apple Music has it right with 1 cent. Many artists will be like, well, 12 cents a stream, I think artists really deserve that. And, I'm an artist. I think I'd love 12 cents a stream. But I obviously realize that, just someone listening to a song, not buying the song, not investing in the song and stuff like that, 1 cent is good. But whatever Spotify is paying is terrible. So that's something I want you to think of. Last thing I want to talk about is audio quality. First of all, if you're a Spotify listener, if you listen to music on Spotify audio quality is just fine. It's perfect. It's fine. They have good sounding ones. Only assholes like me who know what good audio sounds like. And even then, though, I also just want to preface that I'm not an audiophile. I hate the term audiophile, and I hate anyone who considers themselves an audiophile because basically, when audiophile started, it was this idea that MP3s, basically, quick history here, MP3s are basically, when MP3 players came around, people would convert CDs to MP3s, and it was very, they compressed the format, the audio file. So it's basically a compressed audio file, and so it wouldn't sound as good as a non-compressed file, and stuff like that. But you needed it to be compressed, so the file size was small enough to fit on these, 3 to 1 gigabyte MP3 players and stuff like that. And it's just basically stuff like that. And then audiophiles are if it's an MP3, it's bad. But now we're at the point where it's if the bit rate of the MP3 is high enough, it's not gonna sound that bad. However, though, Apple Music has lossless audio, which is fucking phenomenal. I'm telling you that. I'm the guy who will what? If the bit rate is high enough on the MP3, it's going to be fine. But then you hear lossless audio, and you're like, oh, God, this shit is so good. I'm not saying lossless audio, I'm not saying that, your high bit rate MP3s are bad, but, lossless audio, just the speakers I notice on them, they just sound terrific. They also have Dolby Atmos, which is really cool. If you ever heard Dolby Atmos, I have in a movie theater. Not in my home, and you think I'd have it in my home? I don't. I don't have Dolby Atmos in my home. But I think Dolby Atmos is great, but it's pretty expensive. And so, I don't expect everyone to have it in their home, and it's not really worth it for music. It's great for, TV, movies, and stuff like that. I don't know if it's that great for music. They also have Apple Digital Master, which means, it's going to sound good on Apple product, That sounds good as well, that stuff is good. But, lossless audio is great, but I don't think a lot of people are going to appreciate the Dolby Atmos as much as I do, because I just went to school for that shit, and I took a class on, movie and film audio, and I'm okay, when I go to a movie theater, I expect the picture to be good on the screen, and the sound to be good in the theater. That's just what I want. And, you know, I paid money for the ticket and I should expect that. Even if I had like a shitty theater, I'm like, I'm not asking the seats are comfortable, which a lot of theaters are. I'm like, I'm expecting the sound to work well and the picture to look good. That's something you should get at a $7 matinee. So in conclusion, I am sticking with Apple Music. I don't know if I'm going to fully do it. I did farm the dad pod. I may be going back to fully not using a streaming service at all, just going straight to the dad pod. So just keep that in mind and at any purpose at all. Hey, you just finished one of the many highlights from Cancel Schweezy. We got plenty more on the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you just watched, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Go subscribe for more so we can teach you how to be a better human in our world. So yeah, stay awesome.